Last night on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Pony, the one thing the Penguins did not do well over the last couple of years, despite all their talent, is overtime and shootouts. These points do accumulate, and if this goes to one, I'd be anxious to see how they will use Erik Karlsson.
Well, if it gets to 3-on-3, the Blackhawks should have no chance because with the players the Penguins have accumulated, the top-end talent, the Karlsson, Letang defensemen, and then you have guys go over the boards like Malkin, Crosby, Jake Gensel, Brian Rust in an overtime situation. They should beat them if the game comes to that. It's bad enough that they're tied at 2. The Penguins had multiple opportunities to pull away in this game, and then some of the bad habit Penguins from last year have resurfaced. Back-to-back penalties in the third period, poor defensive zone coverage where a guy gets wide open in the slot and scores the goal to tie the game. This might be the story with the Penguins early on, where the first 20 or so games, a lot of new faces, they try to fit in with each other, and we see lapses in play. Or maybe this is just going to be their identity all year, Bob. They get a 2-goal lead, they blow it, they get down 2 goals, they come back and win. That might just be who they are.
Yeah, I think that is who they are. That's the kind of hockey they play, and they do frustrate you at times. And Chris Letang took a penalty. Tyler Johnson, you know, they were upset that he may have flopped, but guess what? There are a lot of people who flop. If you get away with it, it's a penalty, and Chris Letang went to the box. And their power play, I think this is where I agree with you, too, when it comes to trying to figure out who's who. You know, putting Letang on the second group, putting Malkin at the point, and Karlsson over there on the wall. It's going to take some time. I don't care how talented these guys are. It will take time.
But eventually, the cream should rise to the top. And I think this team is very, very good. In fact, I picked them to win the Stanley Cup on today's show. I just think that Erik Karlsson is going to make that kind of difference with the players they already have. I thought a lot of teams in the East actually this offseason either stayed the same or got worse. And you're replacing effectively, essentially, Jeff Petrie with Erik Karlsson. 101-point score from last year and 25 goals. So I think in the end, it's all going to work out, but we might have to buckle up for a bumpy ride with a lot of turbulence here, Bob, through the first few games.
That's how the Penguins play, and there is turbulence along the way. Today, the Steelers went through a practice, and I don't know if it's the last one. They may have one tomorrow, and you never know what Mike Tomlin does with it before they get out to their bye week. But Deontay Johnson, the big news there, says he's going to play against the Rams, and I think they need him.
Too many drops. He runs backwards when he already has first downs and costs them yardage. He does. It's really bizarre how often he does that. This guy's getting paid like at least a high-end number 2 wide receiver. And so if George Pickens is going to continue to evolve as their number 1 guy, I need this guy to be a really good Robin. Be the offensive version of Alex Highsmith to TJ Watt. And so, frankly, Bob, last year, I was really disappointed in the way Johnson played, given that money that he got, even with a rookie quarterback in Mitch Trubisky. It's time for him to step up because of what you just said. The Steelers really need offensive production anywhere they can get it right now, and he's getting paid to be one of their best offensive players.
Yeah, and you can't have 5 touchdowns in 5 games. This is the NFL. You got to score a lot of points in order to win games and also give your defense an opportunity to do something other than win games for you. X of the night is concerning this big 3 because tonight the trio of Crosby, Malkin, and Chris Letang surpassed the Yankees trio, the legendary Yankee trio of Jeter, Rivera, and Posada as the longest tenured trio of teammates. I'm talking about all these sports, Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, 18 seasons playing together. And as I say that, the Chicago Blackhawks have just taken the lead. 3-2, again, some sloppy play. Andrew, I couldn't see who scored the goal, but it's one of those things, that happens with the Penguins. They get leads. 2-0 is not supposed to be one of those uncomfortable leads. 3-0 is, but at 2-0, they allowed Chicago to get a goal, and now it's 3-2 Hawks.
Yeah, and this is going to be a game that I think brings back a lot of bad memories from the way last season ended. If this is where the final score ends, if it is a 3-2 final, because you let Chicago come in here last year and knock you out of the playoffs when they were tanking for Connor Bedard. And Peter Mrazek, who started that game for Chicago last year, has also been very good in this game tonight as well. So there's a little deja vu factor with him in net, Bob.
Yeah, Mrazek's been with like 5 different teams, and he seems to have been on his game here tonight for sure. But Jari was early, and now all of a sudden breakdowns are starting to get to the Penguins. All right, let's go to the lines here, Pony. We got a lot of people. Our number one Cochrane Go One Better call of the night will be Brad in DuBois. Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Hey, Brad.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're good.
Good. Hey, I just heard today that Kenny admitted that that was an audible call.
The blocking.
During the game.
The blocking. He changed the blocking.
I read it.
He said he changed the route too, Bob. He said blocking and route today.
Okay. I didn't hear that part of it. I thought it was just a blocking because yesterday I heard it was strictly blocking. Whatever the case, they scored, and that's what they needed to do there. But thank you for that. I mean, he should do that. And I think for those of you who are pounding on Matt Canada, I think the one thing that I'd like to see is the fact that, you know, he will give the quarterback, or they will get, whoever's doing it, he should have absolute autonomy. If he sees something, he's your starting quarterback. He's 17 games now. That's the equivalent of one whole season. Pony, he should have the right to say, you know what, I see something, I'm going to do it. And that's good.
Yeah, I actually look at that as a positive too. I mean, maybe Canada didn't have the right play call when it went in, and oftentimes that is the case with him. But if Kenny has the freedom to recognize the all-out blitz and to change the pass protection and then the route to George Pickens, that is good. That's what you want a second-year quarterback to be able to do. I mean, Roethlisberger would do that all the time, although it didn't look like Ben could do that in his last year in this offense. So I do think that's progress. I'll take Kenny at his word. He changed things. Kudos to him. And also credit Matt Canada and Mike Tomlin for allowing him to do so.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that play for sure. Let's go out to Alex in Ambridge. Alex, what's going on?
Hey, Bob, Andrew, love the show.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And I want to talk about the Penguins. I think, in addition to Carlson, I think the Penguins, you know, if they put their mind to it, I think they're going to go farther into the playoffs, maybe the Stanley Cup. You know, see what happens this year. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, all those guys, they brought in 9 new players, basically. A lot of them are on the ice tonight, and they have depth. That's one thing. Now, regardless of what happens tonight, you know, it's one game, and they're going to go through stretches where they have bad nights. You hate to see it on the opener like this, but I do believe that guys like Riley Smith, who had a breakaway tonight, Pony, and got stoned by Mrazek, and guys like that are going to have their impact on this team.
I mean, look, they went to Tampa Bay and beat the Lightning in the opener a couple of years ago, and then the Lightning went on to go to the Cup final, and the Penguins lost in the first round. So, you know, like you said, you don't overreact to one game. You know, I really do like this team. I think they've got great potential this year to do a lot of amazing things. I do think they can go all the way. The one thing, though, about them tonight that I kept thinking about as I watched them, Bob, pretty much everybody, with the exception of one guy, seems to be in the right spot. And the one exception, the one leftover, is Jeff Carter. He just doesn't seem like a fit on this team. Now he's been cast in a fourth-line role on a right wing. I just don't see him. He's a guy that used to be a point producer. Now he's playing on a checking line. I think they're going to be very soon, Bob, inclined to get him in the press box and get some young blood on the ice in that spot.
To be honest, I thought he should have not been on the starting lineup tonight. All they're doing is deferring to the fact he has a contract, he's been around, great career, all of that. But quite frankly, Zahorna is better. He should be up here right now in that spot if that's the case. There are younger guys in their organization who should be playing ahead of Jeff Carter. I agree with that one. And by the way, it was Jason Dickinson who scored the goal. Let's go out to Rick in California. Hey, Rick, what's going on? Rick, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Matt.
Yep.
Hey, I noticed throughout the game, Mason Cole's snaps were really low, and it's causing Kenny Pickett to have to take his eye off the field to make sure he secures the snap. And that, you know, as you know, 1 second can make such a big difference in finding your receiver downfield or watching the pass rush. And do you know if the Steelers have addressed that at all and trying to get Mason Cole to snap the ball more directly to Kenny so he's got more
Rich,
time to look
I have
downfield?
not heard anything about that, and it may happen to every center who plays if you're going to take a lot of snaps in the game. Pony, have you noticed that?
Now, really, I don't think Mason Cole's had a particularly good year.
No, I agree.
I mean, I think you could say that about most of their offensive line. The snapping, to me, is not what I focused on. It's the blocking. We see too many guys almost go unblocked with little resistance around him, and pressure up the middle is the worst thing for a quarterback. We know that. I thought Broderick Jones, Bob, played a very good game in his starting debut. I liked what I saw from him, and I think that's something to build on here going into the bye week.
Penguins, by the way, have pooled goaltender Tristan Jarry. Now they're operating with a 6-on-5 advantage here late in the game, trying to get the equalizer. Let's go to Roland and Castle Shannon. Roland, what's up?
Rolling.
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
Good. What's going on?
What up, Roland?
What's up there, Pony? Hey, the key to the Penguins, and we're blessed. We have two of the best GMs, both in hockey and football. But the key to the Penguins is goaltending. Nedeljkovic, I think, is the key guy to give some competition to Tristan Jarry.
I agree with that.
I've liked Alex Nedeljkovic ever since he was with Carolina. I thought he was a good player. He went to Detroit, not so much, but I think that's an upgrade there, Pony.
I think Nedeljkovic can end up being an Aiden Hill type for the Penguins, the guy that ended up being in net for Vegas in the Stanley Cup final. This is a chance for him to be a reclamation project player. Was snowed in Detroit oftentimes. Was pretty good a couple of years ago. I could see him rebounding in a big way here in Pittsburgh this season.
Foligno just gets an empty net goal, so they're going to lose in their opener. Mike Sullivan doesn't look to be happy. 4-2 now with about a minute left in the game, Pony. So they're going to go down. They got the Flames coming in here on Saturday. I found it interesting that Chicago, they are opening up tomorrow for Boston. They're opening up for, I believe, Tampa after that, all on the road. Then they're opening up at Colorado. Their first 4 games, I think they have a 5-game trip to start the season. All of them are openers for the other team.
Is the circus in Chicago? I mean, what's going on with the United Center right now, Bob? There's no time in that building to
What was it with San
Blackhawks in there?
Antonio? Remember the Spurs? Was it like was some sort of
the rodeo?
The rodeo, that's what it was down there. And they had it like for 3 weeks and they were never home.
Yep.
So that's what they have. Anyway, time ticking away. The Penguins just hit the goalpost, it looked like. So they're going to lose this game 4-2. But again, it's game 1. They got a bunch of new guys. I would expect it to take a little bit of time. But the third goal by Dickinson, by the way, was a glove mishandle or whatever you want to call it by Tristan Jarry. And that's been something that's plagued him, Andrew. I mean, that's when you're going to beat him, sometimes that's where you go, the glove side, and Dickinson did.
Well, Tristan Jarry, I didn't like that contract. I didn't think that's I thought the major mistakes that Dubas made this offseason. To reward a guy with 5 years after the way he crumbled last season. I mean, maybe that money for 1 year I would have been able to accept and put up with, but 5 years, you're locked into the guy now, and I just don't see Tristan Jarry turning into that kind of goaltender, Bob.
Yeah, well, I mean, they made their, regardless of how many years, it's the fact that it's, you're going to have, the way it was going, you're going to have to give him a multi-year deal. I thought 3 was going to be sufficient. I would, 5 now takes you into it, and if he doesn't do well, you're going to be stuck with that money. I saw Matt Murray the other day. Matt Murray has hip surgery. He's going to be out for 8 months. Do you know how much he made $25 million when he went to Ottawa, and now he's been with different teams. He has really not been anywhere near that goaltender.
And who brought him to Toronto, Bob? Who brought him to Toronto on that contract? Kyle Dubas.
Kyle's one thing he hasn't gotten right is this goaltending situation. All his years there, and we'll see what happens here. And if you want to get your opinion heard, don't forget to tune in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call tonight at 10:35 on KDKA+. So give us a call at 412-575-2600. We do it every night after the 10 o'clock news. For CBS News Pittsburgh, I'm Bob Pompeani.